What's going on, Pokemon Go trainers? Welcome to episode 320 of Lured Up, the podcast where we take Pokemon Go way more seriously than we do ourselves. Lured Up is part of the Pokemon Professor Network, and today is Wednesday, September 11th. Never forget, 2024. This episode is streaming live on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm your host, Ken Pescator. Adam is still in the process of moving, so once again, joined by Lane from Good Morning Johto. Lane, what's happening? What's up? How are you? Welcome.
Thanks for having me again for another week. I'm glad to be here. My audio will not be terrible this week, goals, but you know what? This is what's going to happen. Another week of me, you're going to get sick of me. Adam's going to rise back from the ashes next week and then be ready to go.
We are streaming this live on a bunch of different platforms, so if you're here in the chat, which we have a bunch of people here already, Maddie G, Fisher J, Chase, thank you so much for being here early and being active in the chat. Throw us a follow, throw us a sub, we'd appreciate it. Smash that like button, that's what the those newfangled kids say these days, right? Smash that like button. Those kids with their hula hoops. those
Dynamax Raid, their hula hoops.
Leo, what's up in the chat? What's going on? We got plenty to talk about today. We'll recap the last week of gameplay, including the wrap-up of Go All Out. We had Falinks Raid Day, and of course the introduction of Max Battles with the Go Big event. More info has been released on from Niantic about Dynamax, but plenty of people, maybe present company included, still don't know everything about Dynamax, so we're learning as we go here. It's still pretty new. But with all the Dynamax hype, we're going to discuss our hot takes on the mechanic in general, what we'd like to see come from it, what we'd like to see it develop into. A lot of potential for this mechanic. I'm really digging it so far. But the Wayfarer community, however, has been pretty charged up this week, and they're kind of like their finely curated game boards have been polluted with these power spots everywhere, and they're not so happy about it. So we'll dig into that a little bit. Back to the event front, Psychic Spectacular is coming back. It brings new Pokemon, new features. Well, actually, this will be the first event outside of the Dynamax launch that will be introducing a debut of a Dynamax Pokemon as part of the event feature. So that's pretty neat. Niantic is keeping their foot on the gas when it comes to events, and then we have Oranguru and Passimian Research Day, so a raid day and a research day in the same month, which is pretty cool. And the raid updates that we talked about last week have really shook things up in PvE, and we'll kind of speculate as if this was part of Niantic's overall plan. Are they trying to get people back outside? Is this stuff not intentional? There's plenty to dig into, plenty to talk about, but let's just start with the basics. Lane, how was your week? Have you played? What's the deal? How's it going?
I've played so much. I didn't get to do raid day as much as I wanted to. When I say as much as I wanted to, that's zero. But I was able to go all out. We got to the end of that, which I think it ran a perfect time, but we have a lot. I've done a good bit of Dynamaxing and stuff we can talk about, but played a good amount this week.
Nice. Chase in the chat saying your voice is a little bit low. I've got you maxed out. Do we dare turn up Lane, or will he become the omnipotent booming voice from the heavens?
It's only when I come into that my audio is just like it's wanting to implode.
Just scream at the top of your lungs. Landor Alpha here in the chat. As the Pokeball turns, saying I could barely hear him. Dynamax your voice, they're saying in the chat.
No.
All right, we'll play with it. But no, what's going on, Jail? I had a good week of gameplay. I gotta say, I'm pretty excited to actually have some good game time in this past week. Falinks Raid Day was awesome for me. I was very, very surprised. I'm a little over-modulated. All right, let's turn myself down a little bit. Falinks Raid Day was great. We had, you hear about Falinks, you're like, all right, is this going to really bring people out? Is this an exciting Pokemon? And apparently it was, at least in Red Bank, New Jersey, because we had like 30, 40 people come out for Falinks, and we raided almost the full 3 hours. Like, people started, the attrition rate was happening as people were running out of passes. We had a lot of people there that did buy the ticket. So they were doing 13, 15 raids a day. It was a community ambassador event. So we had to check in there for an additional 2 raid passes. So we had a lot of people with a $5 investment doing like 17 raids, which ended up being pretty cool. I think I did like 26, 27, something like that on the day. 5 shinies, which was absolutely crazy. My odds were definitely in my favor for that event. But I love raid days. I think that it's one of the best mechanic events that we have out there. It has a great presence for free-to-play players, a $5 investment for paid players that gets a lot more gameplay out of it. Definitely an awesome event. Definitely enjoyed it. I don't want them to ever stop having these raid days. You know, we've seen elite raids. We've seen all this weird stuff happening with how they're introducing raids, like good old 3-hour raid day. Gets my vote. Definitely good.
Because I know Adam loves like Elite Raid Day. That's like his go-to.
No.
He's begging Elite Raid Day. We need more shiny costume Pikachus. Like that's what really the game needs from Adam. Like that is.
You know, Adam's moving this week. He's actually in his new place today. He has no internet yet till tomorrow or Friday or something like that. But so I don't know how much he's been playing. I haven't talked to him too much, but you know, it's like if you have the ability to play during a raid day and you're free to play and you can still do 7 raids, that's a ton of gameplay. Like that might be more raids than someone does over the whole course of the week or even 2 weeks. You know,
I think that's where my problem is you have especially a very good raid community, right? Your community
for sure
comes together. Mine only does for community days. We can get 40 to 50 in my like 10,000 area town for raid day. Or for community day. But when it comes to raids, out. Right?
Now, are they remoting or it's none? No raids?
Zero.
Wow.
Zero. Like, even like a Elite Raid Day, we can like do it. But like for me to do Hisuian Raid Day, it was like my brother, my wife, I have to like, and even we could all be in the same park and nobody wants to. It's like this for a lot of, I say, well, Pokemon and nerdy things. You're trying to make the unsocializing to socialize, right?
Sure.
That if you're playing this game daily by yourself, but then you're getting in 2 or 3 years, I have a good group of 8 to 10 people that are like my seniors that are like, if we ever have questions, but that's only community days. Raid days, we can't get it together.
Wow. I mean,
that's me as ambassador. I'm the ambassador for the area, so that's even me getting it together.
Now, is it so? Does the like the freebies, the goodies, the check-in
I think that's it, right? When you say like, because we have a lot even younger, is your community day we can put a lot more for free, and then for raid day, let's say nobody's spending a dime. It just depends on what you have saved up, and then the check-in itself.
Yeah, it's definitely. You know, I've learned this as I speak with more players like you or even Adam in the rural areas. Like, you know, it's if Mewtwo is the raid boss, people will come out, right? But short of Mewtwo or short of something like a big boss, you know, something crazy, Rayquaza, I don't know. I don't know if Falinks will do it. And I was very surprised in my own community because the people were out. And I mean, there was a couple raids during the day, early in the day, where we had like 2 20-person lobbies from just boots on the ground. And, you know, I'm not going to front. There's some people there with multiple devices. You know, there's you know, that whole thing like, oh, I'm pushing a stroller with 2 kids and they have their phones and it's like they're like 1 and, you know, like they ain't playing, bro. Like, you know, we had one dude with like the tray, like the fast food tray with like the phones laid out with Velcro on the back. We used to call that the when they're raiding, that would be like the Elton John or the Billy Joel because they're like playing the piano, tapping like on all the phones.
I always saw that with elite raids, but I didn't see that with like the lower ends, right? It's how, because with elite raids, right, you're having to have X amount of people. You don't want to waste your time trying to like, and you could tell Campfire's really Niantic's really pushing Campfire, right? Like that's their baby. They're really trying to push. So, and it's great. I think like Campfire is incredible to really set up everything. And we're really big. If you don't have an area where you have people, you start it, I believe.
Yeah. No. I think that, you know, if you've been an OG of this game, right, and if you're in the community leader type roles or community building type roles, the majority of people started on Facebook. So 2016, 17, even into 18, Facebook groups were the main ways that a lot of people communicated in Pokemon Go, at least in New Jersey. And then when Discord's been around forever, but Discord started becoming the norm, and you had this immediate exodus of trainers coming off of Facebook and into Discord because they wanted to take advantage of things like raid bots and things you just couldn't do in a Facebook chat, where, back in the day we had like Meowth bot, like early raid stuff, and it was amazing. But that change from Facebook to Discord, for some people, they never made the jump. They're still in the Facebook groups. So then to tell them 3 years down the road, hey, we're going to change again, and we're going to use Campfire. And we were like, oh, people aren't going to give up Discord. They're never going to, it's never going to work. But what we've learned is Campfire has become a fantastic companion to Discord. So maybe in the beginning we were like, oh, Campfire will be in direct competition with Discord, and you're either going to be in one place or the other. But I think the successful communities still have presence in as many places as possible. But there's a lot of times where we'll build something in Campfire and it'll be somewhat quiet, but then we'll promote it in the Discord and all of a sudden it wakes up in Campfire. It's because they will easily move over, but once they're done checking in or doing their thing, they're back to Discord. So it's all Niantic's efforts, and we're going to get into this as we talk to Dynamax. It's all Niantic's efforts to get people back outside, and you have these third-party things that people do to communicate, and Campfire is sort of that bridge between, like, yes, we want you to communicate, but this tool will actually work best when you're communicating with each other, when you're actually out in the same event or at the same place. Whereas Discord, you could be, communicating with someone on the other side of the world. It's all the same. Campfire, it's like, hey, we're checking in here. Look for my flare because you're, 2 blocks away, or you went to go eat or something like that. This is. I just think that it's definitely a paradigm shift, but it's all part of Niantic's kind of master plan. All right, so that was Falinks. We had Go All Out, which was a fantastic event, and then we have Go Big, right? The release of actual Dynamax Battles in the game, which was. We were really hyped on this last week. They kind of teased us by letting us get max particles early before we could do battles. And like, do I want to spend it? Do I want to use it? Do I want to hoard it? Oh, I can't hoard it. I can only have 1,800 a day. How many have I collected? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of like different kind of loose ends that the mechanic has out there. But what it comes down to is an entirely new way to play the game. It's a completely new gameplay loop that definitely has its own merit to stand alone. You can, if your thing becomes max battles, you could wake up in the morning, do your max battles, and have a fantastic time doing it. You could use it as a companion to the other things, like, hey, it's community day, and instead of taking a break, or let's hit up this max battle on the way to the next raid or something like that. I think that's where it's really going to thrive, is because of the limits of collecting 800 a day, capping at 1,000 total. The majority of people I think that are going to be behind this mechanic will be free to play. I think people will have an easier time buying raid passes than buying max particles. But when you start to say, like, I could supplement my gameplay during community day or during the raid day to have an extra 30 minutes worth of gameplay, that sounds good. Now, you played the other day and you wanted to kind of like experiment for Good Morning Johto to like figure out like, well, how much can I do in a day, right? And quick, and you got through the loop pretty quick.
Yeah, it was something we did on the episode that went up on today when we're recording September 11th. It was, okay, if I'm saving up, and you talk about the beginning, right? I was the person, I can't finish my research now because it says max out Pokemon. I already did that on Blue on my Stardust. So I have to do Community Day Saturday to get all the dust back. And when you talk about like the math, so yeah, you can have 1,000 hold and have 800 per earnings per day, right? So I can go into the next day and plan out, okay, I can fire out 7 of them. You can do that. I did 4 in 25 minutes. and that was walking. That's not even if I'm on a scooter, a bicycle, my car, right? If I that's is me walking saying I'm going to go do this. Now the only and it's not an issue is then you're having to take basically a day off because now you got to upgrade all of those guys, right? Like you got to upgrade your team. So it's getting now we're only doing 1-stars, and we'll talk about it Psychic Spectacular of how they're changing with that too. But yes, like you can do 7 a day if you're not upgrading anything,
right,
and
right.
not spending money.
I don't think you have to, at least at this point.
I don't think you have, and because you said that perfectly too, and that's why I wanted to, because you can do this free. I can't do raid passes. I can do 1 free, right? Like let's not talk about our hoarding of raid passes. We already talked about Adam last week. That I can hoard raid passes. They made this that you can't hoard the particles. Now, will they do a increase something like that? We don't know, but I can do 1 raid if I'm a new player starting at level 1 raid, and then it's done. Or I can do 7 particles and fire them out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what makes this so different from the raid mechanic is that this is truly a daily loop. And where, like you were saying, with Adam hoarding 160 premium passes into GoFest New York this year, you just can't do that with max particles. But you don't want to, because that doesn't support the nature of the mechanic. What the mechanic is trying to get you to do is say, hey, you have limits to this, but if you want to maximize your daily use of this, just put in a small amount of effort. Like, you got a half hour? Because you can have an awesome... Yeah, they're everywhere. That you're not going to miss them. And I think that the paradigm shift between raid gameplay and max battle gameplay, the paradigm shift of my old stuff isn't eligible, and people that are into PvP that may already be resource strapped, right? Oh, I got to spend candy to upgrade these. They may already be tapped out on these resources because they're building other stuff for other mechanics of the game. That kind of doesn't sit easy with everybody. But when you think of the new trainer, when you think of the collector, and you think of all these other disciplines kind of coming together, I think max battles provide this vessel for everyone to kind of come together and do their thing without, the day one trainer can feel just as confident as the veteran trainer because they're pretty much using the same Pokemon at that point, because they may only have 5 Dynamax Pokemon in their inventory at this point because the mechanic just came out. So there's definitely been a lot of talk about it.
Jump in, especially it's what you said with PvP, right? If the resources, but I think in the long run, this is like almost like a RuneScape or something of like a Minecraft hoarding, because let's say I want to do 50 Wooloo raids or the max battles tomorrow.
Right.
If I leave 50 Wooloos in that, right, they're gaining the candy back. Because if we're talking about the resources of those, right, if you've looked, because I'm guessing if you've left some in, they're gaining regular candies, XL candies, and stuff.
All right,
it's almost making the money back.
Yeah, I've got the caveat to that is the data that we have so far. So apparently, they cap at 5 candies per day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So they were showing, like, I think it was, you're in the first raid that you support as a, having one left behind, you get 1 candy. The second raid, you get 2 candy. The third raid, you get 2 candy. And once you hit 5, you're done. There was some trainers that had their trainer at the power spot where 1,000 max battles were completed, 5 candy, 0 XLs. So will they address this? I don't know. Maybe. But I do think that you're definitely not going to make that candy back, especially when you start getting into like this not just costing regular candy, it's actually costing max particles and XL candy. That's a tall order. Like that's a very, I don't know. It's a very expensive thing. But Niantic did put out a
Jamal that has all those resources, right? Like those, It's having to spin those resources.
Yeah, but if you're out there battling with your Dynamax Wooloo, wouldn't you want to invest that Candy XL into powering the Wooloo up rather than saying, let me get max guard level 2. 40 XL Candy, what? Like, that's crazy.
I did it without looking, and I did it by accident.
Ouch. Yeah, again, we don't know everything about this mechanic, and I wanted to jump over to this new blog, this kind of like landing page that Niantic put out that talks about the whole thing. And, I like the way they did it. They put the highlights together. There's like little clips. It talks about going big. It talks about how everything works. And then you could finally like jump to different parts here that talk about the different mechanics, how Dynamax works, how Max Particles work. And in practice, it's still confusing. It's still confusing because there's so much to it that they just don't give you enough information. And I think you said that you saw someone that was kind of pushing the limit on Reddit or something like that. And while the free-to-play player might be able to, if they manipulate the Max Particles properly, you might be able to, 6 or 7 of these things a day, right? This person just went on a shopping spree with the Max Particle packs. And how many did he do in the day?
64, and it cost him a little over $30.
Okay.
And that's if you do the web store and you're going, like, that's if you're trying to do all of the nickels and dimes and stuff, right? And not through the app itself. But yeah, 64 you can do in a day, and that's only the battles, not powering up your stuff if you buy the 8-pack through web store.
Yeah, I think that that's not bad, considering, like, if Rayquaza was here, I'm going to drop $20 on raid passes, no problem, right? And I don't think about it being that crazy to do that. So saying I could do, 30 max battles for $20 or whatever, like, that seems okay. I just don't know if the reward is there unless you're also the collector. And then that's where I think these things will start to shine, is because now you have the shiny hunters, the hundo hunters, the ones that want to Dynamax eligible and Mega Evolution Pokemon powered up. Like, you have all these other channels now to build additional Pokemon that you didn't have before. You have stuff to spend resources on. I think when you have all this stuff piggybacking, that's what's going to make it exciting. So I posted on Twitter, I'm going to pull up a tweet that I put up, and I kind of, 10 a.m. I was at Dunkin' Donuts, and I went on, and there was a max battle right there at the Dunkin' Donuts. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this and see what it's all about. And I do the Dynamax battle, and I put up a tweet that says, okay, Dynamax battles are awesome. Absolute game changer for free-to-play and IRL gameplay. Love it, love it, love it. So, again, this was early. They launched at 10 o'clock. I'm looking at my screen recording on Twitter right now. 10:01, I'm in the lobby. So it was like right when they launched. And I got, a mixed bag of comments on this. 716 Hobgoblin saying, but JREC Wolf said it was useless. Who do I believe? Like, joke. Xander actually jumping in saying that he agrees with JRE with a spicy take. Joltar. And then, of course, JRE comes in and says, look, for free rewards and just fun, low-stress activity, no qualms or complaints. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a game and should be low-stress fun. But I think calling this a game changer might be a bit of a stretch. Just my 2 bits. So there's no way that I'm going to let JRE come onto my tweet and say anything to me like that. So I put a soapbox under my feet and wrote a novel. And I'm going to read through it here because I lay out a bunch of reasons why I think Dynamax is truly a game changer when it comes to free-to-play and IRL gameplay. Here we go. So I said, considering that this is a loop that players will engage with daily, even for only a few minutes, that proves that this is a game changer. People are now adding this to their daily to-do list when it comes to Pokemon. They're going to, what are they going to make sure they do? The core trainer, right? You make sure they spin a stop, make sure they catch a Pokemon. They're going to make sure, if in the best case scenario, they use their free raid pass. They're going to try to, do all the free stuff they can. So when you think about that, max battles, even if they do one, it might be one additional. Flaky Bot, thank you for the follow. It could just be one additional thing to do. If they do 5 things normally, now they have 6 things to do. So yeah, it's changing their gameplay. But here's where I get into like the nitty gritty. I think that Dynamax Battles really disrupt the tendency of Pokemon Go's existing raid model that creates this commodification of raid bosses. For a long time, especially during the pandemic, raids felt like transactional. Like, here's my $1, give me my Pokemon. You know, it's like there was no challenge. It was you never really had to worry if you were spending a remote raid. Yeah. But if you were remoting a raid, you knew you were going to beat it. Here's my $1, give me my Pokemon. People weren't afraid of failing the raid. They weren't really afraid of the raid boss running when they're trying to catch it. It was like a transaction. The Pokemon is a commodity. I know from an IP perspective, Pokemon, TPC probably doesn't like that their Pokemon are, you lose I don't want to say humanity because they're not humans, the Pokemonity of them being these living creatures where you could just buy and sell them on a market. It just felt a little icky. So I think this breaks that up a little bit and says, whoa, this isn't just about a transaction. There's a process here. So I do like that disruption. I said it promotes exercise by offering an exchange of walking for max particles. Not many, but a daily little dose of it. And outside of hatching and a couple evolutions, there's no other mechanic that calls for walking as part of the process. RIP to walking for GBL battles. Rest in peace. Your routes, buddies. Okay, so there's some walking. Yeah, routes you have to walk, but as part of the actual earning to complete the mechanic. I said it breaks the cycle of giving those that have time and money to complete a high volume of raids the edge when it comes to their collection and quality of Pokemon. How many times have you done a raid day or gone out to an IRL event, and then at the end of the day you're looking at your inventory and you're like, oh my god, I have 60 Rayquaza in my inventory. It's like, it doesn't make the Rayquaza seem special anymore. And you could have 60 of them. If you didn't get the shiny and you didn't get the hundo, do you even care about those 60?
The only time you care about it is when we do like New York and stuff, when it has the background, right? Like, it's the special of the thing. It's not the shiny. It's not the 4-star. You're getting something, because that's the only time I do like a bunch of raids.
Yep. I said, by Dynamax Battles calling only for Dynamax Pokemon, it breaks the habit of hoarding Pokemon and relying on your go-to raiders. It reintroduces the strategy of developing Pokemon and building teams. And you also have to balance your team with the people that you're raiding with. And like you were saying, these tier 1 max battles are nothing, right? So there's no strategy involved. But when you get to the higher level raids, I remember when Mega Evolutions first came out. Yeah, next week. But when Mega Evolutions came out, I remember being like, all right, I'll be in slot 1 with the Mega Charizard, you be in slot 2 with the Mega Blaziken. There was strategy of team building. We haven't really had that in a while, so this is cool because people are talking about team building again. That's all good. I said new trainers are the most important trainers in the ecosystem. This mechanic shows that Niantic hasn't forgotten that. It extends an olive branch to them and allows them to mix it up with veteran trainers seamlessly. They are in the raid lobby, and we're a day into the mechanic, right? So every Pokemon that's in that lobby is only a day old. So just being able to have that nice, clean slate, it's probably very inviting and welcoming for the new trainer. I say it adds tons of new POI on the map to interact with and use as a catalyst to explore new places. I should have put an asterisk on this.
I was going to say, we'll come back to that.
We're going to come back to that. We got Professor Glaw from Waste Spotters in the chat right now because there's a lot of spice and a lot of heat about this in the Wayfarer community. But when I told my son, like, yo, open the game, check out the map, and he saw all these new things on the map, he was like, this is awesome. Does he care about Wayfarer S2, inclusion rules? No. So it was like when he saw all the pretty colors, he's like, this is great, fun. So on the surface value, it adds a bunch of new POI to interact with. Where it may send you, I don't know. You may end up in someone's backyard, but there's plenty to do. Leaving Pokemon at power spots after a battle is a new way to engage with your community. I love the gym game. I love leaving Pokemon at gyms. I want people to see my name. I want them to see my name. I want them to see me. It's street cred, right? So just like you have a turf war, it's like now you're, instead of competing and defending, you're helping. It's just a different way to engage with the community because you're additive. You're not you're no longer defending. You're actually on the attack, which I think is pretty cool. It's definitely new. And you get some rewards. Again, they're kind of lame, but you can get some consumables and all that good stuff. The fact that the community is buzzing about the mechanic, engaging in debate, ultimately motivating people to play, that's a win. It can't be a loss if people are talking and trying and playing and getting out there and giving their feedback. They're out there playing the game. That's a win. Let's see. What do I have next? I said it opened up the potential for Pokemon to be released and to be the focus of events like the upcoming Wild Area IRL event, and then also Psychic Spectacular with Beldum coming. So I think that this breathes life into Pokemon Go's position in the market. It adds longevity to the game. Now they have a whole nother avenue to release Pokemon, 1,000 of them. So there's plenty to do there. The fact that they're IRL only makes it a very clear point that exercise, exploration, and real-world social interaction are key ingredients to the Dynamax recipe. You want to do Dynamax? You can't do it from home. Hard stop. You got to get out there and play. And one that I think...
the business that you can do one at home.
Dude, I got the Pokemon Professor Network LLC, right? It's like I'm waiting for one to show up in my house.
I did do one at a house yesterday.
So I got one too. There's one around the corner. I think this one's important to the tweet conversation, the thread I had. And I said, it reminds us that not everything needs to be for everyone, right? Like we have this tendency as Pokemon Go trainers that if something doesn't align with our play styles, rather than just being like, okay, I won't do that, it's like, no, burn it at the stake. It's so weird. People act really weird. But not everything's for everyone. If it isn't for you, you can just simply sit it out. But in like JRE's case, I said, you can choose to do anything else instead of doing everything you can to promote negativity and dissent while harmlessly poking fun, which was what he called it on, which I think is what you called your creepy and borderline obsessive commenting of your feedback on every single Niantic post. But yeah, if you don't like it, you can always just sit it out. You're not going to miss anything besides the collection aspect. You know what I mean? So if you're not into it, I hatch one egg at a time. It's like I'm okay with that. And then I just said, to bring it full circle, I think that with the reasoning I've detailed, and again, this is me reading from the tweet, I go, if you don't think that this is a game changer, then you're here for the wrong reasons. It may not, affect JRE because he's self-admittedly said he barely plays the game. So yeah, he barely played the game before Dynamax Pokemon came out. He's barely playing the game now that Dynamax Pokemon are out. So yeah, nothing changed for you. It hasn't been a game changer. But for people that want to play and want new things to do, it's completely added a whole new way to compete, to engage with the game. In my opinion, absolute game changer. I'm so psyched for the mechanic. I can't wait to see where it goes. Is it life altering? No, but is it game changing? Yeah, absolutely. I will be doing something different every day from here on out that I wasn't doing 2 days ago. So 100% game changer. What's your overall hot take on the release of it, the gameplay of it, now that you've like kind of had a day to exhaust your resources and take it for all it's worth? How much of this are you going to be doing going forward?
Every single day I'm going to max out.
That's a win. That's a win.
Every single day, and here's what I'll say too. Every single day I'm going to max out. Every single day I've already hit and I hit it by walking. I don't do it by doing what's it called?
Capturing the power spots.
You and a juice box in the corner took me by surprise. Hold on. But yes. Yeah, I'm not even doing the power spots. I'm just doing the walking. Because I'll tell you yesterday, I didn't know you could still hit to get the power spot things. I didn't see it behind the dude, so I just did it only by walking. But yeah, like, and I did max out my walking, maxed out my raids in 35 minutes, and it was a blast. Now, did I go into some weird businesses or weird people's yards and have to be by myself and look weird? Yeah. But I did. I have 10 things at right now, and then when I brought up the 64, people are just trying to see the max you could do, because if I'm doing that every day, let's say 5 a day, then that person that has 64 maybe is getting 300 candy, right? Or like plus like a day. And they set it up perfectly with the Wooloo, right? Because we have the XL candies from the event we just had. So
right.
Being able to use that, like they're really no, I love it. And you said it perfectly in the beginning. We're all starting at the same. No matter if you're level 50 or if you're level 1. We're all at the same.
Yep.
Now, can you upgrade your thing faster? Yes, absolutely. But it still takes a lot, even if you are like a daily grinder. And I do, because I was thinking too, and it was the Kin Pescator in my head yesterday. Is it okay to only do 4 to 7 a day? Yes.
Yeah.
Like, how many? If I pay, should I be doing 100 or 64 to 100? Right? Like, is that the too much? And I do think I did the math. The $8 particle pack, just if you buy the 8, does almost 20 of those in one day.
Okay.
Great, right? Like, I'm not going to be paying 3 or 4 times that, but $8 gets me to do 20 of these. That's really good. We'll see. I want to see how many for Beldum that we'll talk about. Like, will that take 2 or 3 people? Of course, but it feels very fresh. I've been every day, every day these last 2 days.
And also, don't forget, seasonal bonus, guaranteed Candy XL for trades. Take advantage of that on all your Dynamax Pokemon. People are catching tons of Squovit, tons of Wooloo. Trade them all, because you want to gather all this Candy XL, so that way you can invest in the Dynamax Pokemon and not feel bad. You need to spend the max particles. You have to spend them because you can only hold such a limited amount. So, yeah, get something going where you can spend it. Candy is one thing, but like, it definitely does hurt spending Candy XL on powering up a Dynamax Pokemon that has crappy stats. Like, I don't want to do it, but I also want to clear out my max particles so I can continue to get more. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
My only thing, and my nitpick, and I said this before we started recording, is the different forms of Dynamax and Gigantamax. I thought they would do that with the Kanto. My only fear is that we're going to have to do this all over again with the other forms. I'm hoping that they do the other form if we take it up another level. I'm just wanting to see how they're going to do it. I'm not like, there's some people, and maybe that you just talked about, I trust Niantic, right? I learned this as a wrestling fan. Trust the process, right? Like, give them time. You got to give them time to write it, give them time to cook, and hey, just sit back and having fun with this new feature. I'll max it out every day.
All right. Well, before we take a break, let's talk about power spots. We got Glaw here from Wayfinders in the chat, and I'm just gonna pull up, and this is a massive thread that's been kind of combined and stuff. It's a huge thread, but I'm gonna pull up this thread in the Niantic Wayfarer forums. It says new waypoints being used for max raids. And it kind of talks about how these power spots are showing up. And Glaw, correct me if I'm wrong. It pretty much takes everything that Wayfinders have lived by over the past, nearly a decade through, Operation Portal Recon and stuff. The inclusion rules of S2, them trying to manipulate the criteria, putting so much energy into understanding how these mechanics work with no real direction from Niantic, learning all this stuff, training people on all this stuff, curating a flawlessly accurate game board, being okay.
New band system.
Right.
This time last year, remember, we were getting the new bands of like,
yep.
If you do or don't, or even 6 months ago, like, this is how we're going to do it, right? Like,
yep. Mm-hmm. And now all of a
Light it
sudden,
on fire.
these Wayfinders wake up, and their beautifully curated map, it's like someone like took a bag of chips and like opened the car window and just shook it out as they're driving down the street, just spreading trash, all over the place. And now you have a perfectly balanced POI system where everything's following the rules, and now you have power spots that just throw it all out the window. And that doesn't make the Wayfinders feel good because the game board was built on their back. It was built with their efforts.
With hard rules, right? Like people like making Pokestops, like that's how we get cold, that's how we get different things. Very fine line of how they want the Wayfarer team wants their game board coordinated. And which great part of the Discord now, we have the power, like the weirdest power spots you can find under the Way Spotters. So we to see which one's the weirdest ones. But yes, you're right. Professor Glaw did use the word vomited out all the things. Like you and me, I love how much is on the game board. Should it be on there? I don't know. No.
I'm going in. I gotta really vet this, but I was gonna go into. We've got the new channel in our Discord, the Way Spotters Discord, which is Power Spot Cole, and we've definitely got some good ones in there, and some really funny business names. But they're showing up
under the generic business of the way. This is I listen to all of our shows, but a lot of it I'm like, okay, I already know this. Way Spotters, I know nothing. I didn't know the forums existed, nothing like that. So using the generic businesses, where 90% of these are generic businesses, right? Like that is what's fallen into. And Professor Glaw does this perfectly in the show. It's very common where, especially in ones I've had to do, hairdressers, right? Very common in some people's household that you cut hair, that's a place that you're now going to people's houses. You're now going to these places, and yes, it's changing, but they will be reused. And I said this to Ken in the beginning, and I'll say it now. The last episode, if I can get the episode number of the Way Spotters, was the best episode I've ever listened to of their show. I told them this. It was just incredible of how good it was. And it was episode 138. Yeah,
so I'll link to that in the description. Make sure you check out that episode. You hear the most incredible epic rant by Glaw. And it's very warranted because I think the important thing, the takeaway is, and the Wayfinders have definitely felt this for a while, right? The bulk of the coal, the bulk of the issues comes from the Pokemon Go community, not because they necessarily want to be malicious, but just because they just want an active game board. But a lot of coal comes from the Pokemon Go community. So there's some weird blood there.
Well, now
Ingress gatekeepers know what I'm talking about.
If they don't know how to submit now, if they're like, okay, if this generic business can be a power spot, I'm going to submit it now for a way spot, right?
Yeah.
And then now it's going to add to the submissions this is also from their show. This is what I took from their show too. That it's going to now culminate of how many things I'm going to see from this as a Pogo player and fill their really nice turnaround times right now and crap on them.
Because it's going to fill it with coal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to see this because it's already hard of generic business, what can and cannot be in different things. And now I'm going to see these power spots and want to, Agent X said it perfectly. Ingress coal was worse. We already talked about it. We didn't talk about that off. But yes, it was so good. But it's going to add to the coal.
The real issue here is now it seems, and again, this is the outside view, that you have your Wayfarer team that has done as much as they possibly can to build an inclusive community of informed Wayfinders through the forums, through Campfire, through all their other methods. And then you have the Pigo team, because power spots are not in Pikmin Bloom. They're not in Monster Hunter now. They're only in Pokemon Go. So this
don't
is
know where they came from. They
right,
still are trying
but
to
this is a
figure it out.
Pokemon Go thing. This is a Pokemon Go thing. So I'm fairly confident, just based on my gut, that the Pogo team did this. You know, they're the ones that said, like, yeah, let's get these power spots in there. And I don't know if they had a meeting with the Wayfarer team, like, whoa, my map, my game board. What do you mean you're gonna, make, Jimmy's, handyman service, when the dude has got, like, he's not really in business, his house,
I don't think it can be because there's no reporting system really yet, right? Or you can, but there's not.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I was talking with Jamal from Wayspotters about. If they report a power spot, they would be reporting it through Wayfarer criteria's means. These things don't follow Wayfarer criteria, so how could you report something for breaking Wayfarer criteria when it seems to be okay because they're placed by Niantic? These weren't placed by people. These weren't placed by people that nefariously moved the location of a POI. Like, these things are just there, and I think that Professor Glaw in the chat says, I asked the Wayfarer team and they haven't got back to me yet. So compare that Overture map with what you see. Overture? I need to get up on this. That's Joe in the chat. I think that this will take some time to shake out, but I urge everyone to at least get an idea of what's going on in the Wayfinder community right now, because you have them to thank for your map, for better or worse, right? Like, believe me, I know plenty of Wayfinders that if you send them a gift, like, nonchalant from your town that's, like, at a fire department, like, you're going to go back to that stop next week and it's not going to be there, right? Like, they care about the quality control of the map. And it just seems that there's been zero vetting, zero quality control, or if there has been, not so great. Because some of these things are in the middle of the road. Some of these things are at private residence. How did these things show up? We don't know. So it's definitely a conflict with the existing Wayfarer system. So definitely check out Wayspotters episode 138. I'll link to it in the description so you can hear the incredibly epic rant from Glaw. And I'm definitely interested in hearing the next couple episodes of Wayspotters to see how Jamal kind of like balances out into all this, because
he talks about he's not going to report or anything because you're right. If they're the ones that put it on the game board, they're not going to be the ones that take it off the game board.
But are they? I don't know.
Well, maybe because we saw the ones you and I talked about last week, like OnlyFans Office.
Yes,
right? Like,
yes.
Or I had one today. It was not like a sports bar, but an actual like adult bar was one. And like you said, but they don't go by the rules. They don't go by Wayfarer rules.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen to all this. I got to look at this Overture maps. I guess this is
for me, but I don't know.
So I don't know what I'm showing on screen here, but this is some kind of I guess mapping software, and maybe this is where they're pulling from, because people were thinking, is this Foursquare in Europe? Is like, where are they coming from? But I don't know. Overture map.
Trainer Tip showed a gentleman's club as one.
Dude, there's no vetting. I don't know, man. I don't know. But let's take a break. We've gone a little long already. When we come back, we will very quickly talk about the Psychic Spectacular. We'll talk about PvE and just kind of wrap our heads around everything else that's going on in the community right now, because there's a lot of spiciness. I love it. People are talking. People are playing. It's all good stuff. But ready to take a little break, get a little hydration?
Absolutely.
All right, audio listeners, we'll be back right after this. Cheers, chat. How are you?
I got a Arizona green tea.
In a can? Oh, okay. The tall cans. Tall boy.
Oh, yeah. I got these short cans. I'm usually a tall can guy, but they make shorts.
So I had a company party the other day, and I bought tons of drinks for the people that were attending the party. We had kids there. So I bought 20 cases of juice boxes.
But that's what I'm saying. I look over when I'm ranting and I just see you with this little juice box, and I'm like, oh my God.
My fridge is stocked with juice boxes right now, dude. It's awesome. It's amazing. Love it, love it.
When I came and saw you when we did New York last year, This was the closest to sweet tea that I could get. Was like the green tea that I'm like, okay, at least this is sweetened tea. When we stopped at that 7-Eleven, that was my first 7-Eleven that wasn't a gas station.
Yo, I got to look definitely into this Overture.
Yeah, I don't even know what is. I did pull up Psychic Spectaculars from the last few years just to compare like what they've done.
All right, cool.
But yeah, the Overture I couldn't get to work.
All right, you ready to jump back in?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And we're back from our break. Thank you so much for that. Thank you to everyone in the chat that was hanging out with us, having some fun, mixing it up, talking about ridiculous power spots. So good. But I just want to take a few moments to give a shout out to some of our patrons. Huge thank you to our gym leader patrons: Ben, DJ Wonderbread, GK, Halda Counselor, Joseph, Kimberly, Matty G, Mythical Hitch, Noggin Dude, Sushi Slayer, and Espion Willow. Thank you so very much for your support. It means so much. Shout out to our newest patron, Joseph, in the chat right now. What's going on? Thank you so much for joining at the Discords here. And huge thanks to our executive producer, Xander, as well as the other executive producers on the network, Tish Smith and Kate the Cons. Make sure you check out PokemonProfessor.com for everywhere you can connect with us. Check out all the other shows on the network, including Good Morning Johto, over at PokemonProfessor.com. Check it out. All right. Let's talk Psychic Spectacular really quick. And I'm really excited for this for a number of reasons. But we go to the blog. It says the Psychic Spectacular event returns to Pokemon Go Wednesday, September 18th. So we got about a week lead time on this one, which is pretty cool. 18th, Wednesday the 18th through Sunday the 22nd. Double Dust, can't go wrong. Additional candy for skill throws, so nice and better. And increased chance of Candy XL with skill throws as well. Making the Pokemon debut, Hatena, the calm Pokemon, and its evolutions will make their Pokemon Go debut. So Hatchram and Hatena and Hatterene will be in the game as well. But check it out. Dynamax debuts. The following Pokemon will make their Pokemon Go Dynamax debut in 3-star max battles. Beldum. We were all thinking that we were stocking up on Beldums for Mega, Mega Metagross, but in fact, we have Dynamax Beldum coming in 3 tiers. So, tier 1 max battles, 250 max particles. We're going to see that max particle number increase as we go to 3-star and 5-star max battles over time. So, you'll have to kind of pick your poison of, do I want to do a bunch of 1-stars today? Or do I want to do 1 1-star and 1 3-star? How's it going to parse out? So, again, adding to the strategy of how you want to personalize the gameplay loop for, your play style. What I do like about this, we have some pretty good wild encounters here. Ralts, Spoink, Gothita, Solosis, Elgyem, Spritzy, Swirlix, Inkay, and Morlul. It's a non-stop shiny a-go-go during this event. So plenty of shiny checks, which is, always a good thing. And some trainers might even encounter the following Hatena. So Hatena will be in the wild. In eggs, Mawile, Chinling, Esper, and Hatena. So we have, is it Hatena? 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 I don't know.
I say Hatney. All words are made up.
Hatney?
It's all the same.
Field research, Gothita, Solosis, Elgyem, Spritzy, Swirlix, Molul, and Hatney. We'll say it different in each. The ones that are in wild encounters are Hatenas. The ones that are in eggs are Hatenas. And the ones that are in researches are, Hatenays or something like that.
You have to be right with one of them.
There's going to be $2 paid timed research, but it comes with goodies, which is really nice. 1 incubator, 1 super incubator, 1 star piece, 15,000 XP. An encounter with Morlul and Hatena. So,
surprised no battle particles in that.
Yeah, that would have been nice. That would have been nice if, let's say it's 500 max particles. If they gave you the 500, so you can at least get, get an extra one or something like that. There will be a collection challenge, showcase, and a web store bundle and all that. But what is this? Probably now the fourth year.
I have at least 3 that I know. I have all the way back to 2022 up, And I said this last week. For me, I need 2 things to happen out of 3. But now they're introducing 2 new things, right? So we got Beldum and we got a new debut. For me, that's as good as you can get. And the wild spawns, these are the ones that you usually see in these. So last year, I have last year's up from the blog. Solosis was the new shiny.
That's
from
right.
Last year.
Yep.
And I think that was the only debut for that one. Year before was Mega Alakazam. Was the debut in 2022.
Megas have been around already. That's wild.
2 years ago was the big debut was the Mega Alakazam, and you got a featured charge attack if you evolve all the way to Alakazam. So each year we've only had like really one-ish thing. The one difference, and I don't know if they did it this year, is 1-star raids the last 2 years had unknowns in them.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, we don't have that this year. But no, I just got a Kyogre raid up on screen right now as well. But the one of the reasons I wanted to talk about Kyogre, and this kind of talks about the PvE. We can't forget about regular raids, right? Max battles are the rage, right? But we can't forget about good old PvE, the regular raiding. And there's been some pretty significant issues with raids. And I you know what, let me stop tapping on my phone really quick, and I'm going to jump over to this really great article on GoHub that talks about Pokemon Go's new PvE mechanics bringing a wave of issues everywhere. Come on, bro. Everywhere. They got a typo in their headline. Jay Tizzle, who's your editor? But
Professor Glaw.
He's like, oh snap, let me get in there. Glaw, tell him to fix the typo. But we talked about it last week where we were seeing just some real crazy behaviors coming out of raids, and people saw some data in the back end change, and we didn't really know anything about it or how much it was going to affect it. You know, I kind of made light of it and was just like, anyone else just going to be standing outside with friends, tapping on their phone, you know, just doing their thing like normal. But apparently there's some pretty heavy duty changes that are affecting a lot of people, but with it some kind of funky bugs. So in the article they talk about the timing thing. We mentioned that last week, how things are getting rounded up, rounded down. Mainly with like if a move took 1.2 seconds, it now takes 1 second. If a move took 1.3 seconds, it now takes 1.5 seconds. So there's been a shakeup of the viability of certain Pokemon in raids, especially when it comes to the power rankings, right? Like who's on top, who's on the bottom. A lot of that has changed. There's definitely been some weirdness with raid bosses using their charge move as soon as they get the energy. Previously, it would be a 50-50 roll as soon as they were powered up, which could lead to a delay in the raid boss using their charged attack, and that might give you the edge over the next trainer. Whereas with the new raids, now they're supposedly using it every time as soon as they get the full power. There's kind of still data going back and forth. We don't know if this is actually true anymore. It's super fresh. But what it's come down to, and I'm just going to scroll through this, is some pretty interesting bugs. And one of the bugs... my game just crashed on the Kyogre. You think I could get back in? Hold up. Let me bring the phone back up. Real quick. Can I get back in this raid? We just beat it. I think I wiped like 3 times, too. Again, these raids are harder now. The game crashed again. It opened and crashed again. What is happening? No, this can't be happening. Hold up. Let me get... Oh, now Max Particle giveaway. I'm getting news? Hold up. Let me get back up in here. Can I get back in here? Please, let me get this. All right, it's not a shiny. It's not bad either. But, all right, getting back to the thing. This is crazy, this video clip I'm going to show here. And this is one of the guys who was responsible for putting the data together on Reddit. And it's a video of a Kyogre raid where the Kyogre throws 7 thunders consecutively. So no delay. Obviously, they're not farming the raid boss isn't farming fast moves and then letting the charge move go. Why is this happening? Well, there's also been changes to how the raid boss gains energy by damage taken, but we thought it went down, but now is it multiplying with the more trainers that are in the raid battle? There's a lot of weird stuff going on. And what does this mean? It means if there's 20 people in the raid and they're all doing damage to it, the damage that they're doing to the raid boss might be enough to fill its charge meter, which means these things are going to be spammy as all hell. So what does that mean? It means that raids are harder. Raids are tougher. You're going to use more consumables. More of your Pokemon are going to get knocked out. You're not going to be able to turn the raids over as fast as you could. But could this be a thing? We talked about it offline, where the raid bosses are scaling to party size. So if there's 20 people battling the Kyogre, will that Kyogre be more difficult and cause more knockouts to trainers in the lobby than a lobby of 5 people? Because they're not doing so much damage and they're not assisting the raid boss in charging its charge move, because they're not doing, they're only doing 25% of the damage that a full lobby of 20 people will do. There's a lot of questions that of all this crazy stuff going on, and we don't know if it's intentional. We don't know, there's always been the joke like it's not a bug, it's a feature, or whatever, vice versa. Could this be the new norm? Like, could this be that raids are now just immediately harder for everyone? Or do you think that this is something we're going to see kind of come out in the wash? Because Niantic did tip their hat a little bit and said, hey, we made some changes to raids, more details to follow. But what do you think is going on here? And is it annoying when raids are harder and you're getting knocked out, or should that be part of the challenge?
I think it's one of those easier things when you take 20 people that you're right. Like, there's no challenge, right? Like, we've done it. You and I have been in 20-person raids. I can look at you dead in the eyes without even looking at my phone, right?
Right.
Like, I'm tapping along. And I do think if they're messing with this, because I think Niantic, we are the beta testers. Well, more New Zealand. But if with the beta testers all together, that I think they're just trying to toe dip on how they want to change these around, right? And of course, Twitter's like, you need to give us an announcement. You need to do this. They don't need to do anything, right? Until this is like, okay, this is what it said. And I think it's a really hard one to do because Kyogre is already difficult, right? This is one of the harder 5-stars.
It's beefy.
It's beefy. When Primal Raids, when it debuted alongside Groudon, you needed 5 to 6 plus. Where Groudon, you only needed like the 3 to 4. That Kyogre was one of the harder 5-stars. So if they are messing with it, they picked a wonderful time to do it with the Kyogre. Yeah, I think they're just trying to figure out how they want to do it, right? And the easiest way to figure that out is having trainers like us, trainers like these that are out here doing this mini, figure out where they want the needle to change. But what I find semi-annoying is people wanting an update every single time Niantic takes a step. Yeah, like that's where I find it is like they don't owe us like an update every 2 things. You and I liked it last week that we almost knew nothing about these new Gigantamax Dynamax raids. That we're like, we don't know what's going on, but we'll try it out.
It's exciting.
And it's exciting. It's exciting also, Ken, to know nothing. Right? And
well, good news.
Yeah, it's exciting to know nothing. But yeah, with this, I think they're just trying to figure out where they want the meter to go, right? They just want to figure out where they want this. And if it is 20 people, yeah, like maybe it should be a small challenge or something, but and it's not going to be impossible, right? Just one of those harder things to do.
Well, I really think that the game needs challenge, right? The game needs some difficulty. Is it annoying that I'm constantly deleting revives and stuff? Yeah. Would I rather use them? Yeah, probably. So it's like, look at this. I don't remember the last time I had this many Pokemon knocked out. I've got a whole page.
Trainers, I deleted. I have someone that I know that was level 20. I deleted his revives, and it's like I punched him in the face. Like it was. I need those. But you and I, like, if we have so much stuff leveled up, or we have so much stuff that doesn't need that, newer trainers are really. They covet the healing part, where that's the first thing we dump, right?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
first
for sure.
Gone.
Yeah. I think that the next couple weeks are going to be really interesting because we're definitely going to be busy because everyone's going to be doing max battles. Psychic Spectacular is coming up in a week or so. Everyone's going to be all over that Beldum. Everyone's going to be all over it. People are really going to be grinding it. You've got the Wayfarer issue with power spots. I don't think that conversation is going anywhere anytime soon because we still just don't have the information. This will probably be one of the things that we just never get the information. So that'll be tough.
Well, it's because it's players like it, right? The Pogo players that are like it, like you use your son, great example of like, it's just like if I don't look at Twitter, they like your son doesn't know way spotters or Wayfinders are in a panic or like what happened to our game board. You just see all this new stuff and you're like, oh, sweet. I'm wanting to see how many raids are going to be after this event. If this is just a increase because of the new mechanic, or if it's going to be dialed back a little bit. I hope not. I love it.
I'm with it too. I think challenge is okay. I think it's just a shock to the system because we're not used to it. We're not used to getting our butt whipped when we have 20 people in the lobby. We're used to just, like you said, having the phone down at our side, tapping away mindlessly. I've done that so much where it's like I'm in the catch screen and I'm still like tapping the phone. Like it's like, dude, the boss has been done for 30 seconds and I'm still tapping. So I don't mind the change in difficulty, but I definitely do think that over the next couple of weeks, it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out on multiple fronts. On max battles actually having relevancy in gameplay loops, with the Wayfinders and power spots, how that's going to shake out. And then this PvE stuff with the raid bosses, being super spammy. A lot going on in the game, a lot to figure out over time. I don't know. Are we part of this giant simulation experiment? Is this just Niantic's way of keeping things fresh and getting people talking? Or are there real issues happening with Niantic where max battles kind of threw wrenches in regular raids? Or I don't know. I don't know. No one knows at this point, and I think that that's really exciting. I think that, like you were saying, it could be fun to not know, and I think we're in that position right now where we just don't know. We just don't know what's going to happen.
I need Stardust, and there's a triple Stardust community day this weekend. That's what I know.
Yeah, Ponyta, Galarian, Ponyta, triple dust. That triple Stardust brings all the boys to the yard. Always so. But Lane, that was a show, man. We got a lot of information out here, a lot of spiciness, and a lot of things that the community will have to figure out on their own. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I want this game to be harder. I want there to be more to do. I want there to be an active game board. I'm in the throes of trying to figure out what I want more out of this game. Is it an accurate game board that follows Wayfarer criteria, or do I just want more stuff on the map to have fun with? It's a real tough one. I love Wayfarer. I've got hundreds of stops into the game. I'm very active in Wayfarer. Am I at the Way Spotters level? No. Is my heart in the same place as a lot of these core Wayfinders and the ambassadors and stuff? No. But I care about those people, and I care and appreciate the work they've done, so I don't want to alienate them by saying, like, it's okay, I have fun with power spots, so you guys should be quiet. It's like, no, I get it. You work so hard on curating this map. I do have feelings. So
they did. This is one I forgot that they said that it hit me like a truck. They said what's happened too with these is some of the power spots are denied away spots, and those are coming up.
But is that coincidental? Like, are they pulling from
yes,
a denied?
Because if they're generic businesses,
that's what I mean.
Right?
Yeah.
If I'm like, a perfect example, like I have a fast food restaurant that would be denied, but now it's going in. So they said that's been coming up a lot too, because where you said it doesn't meet the Wayfarer or Wayspot, like the Wayfarer stuff itself, the criteria.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up. Like I'll pull my phone. I showed this last week, but I'll pull it up again. Here's just some power spot coal. B&E Mechanical. This is just a generic business, but there it is. It's just some house. Like that's literally where the way spot was, across the street, just looking at a house. So The power spot coal is real, and that's a problem. And I don't know. I just don't know what's going to come of it. I have no idea. But to everyone in the chat, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Make sure you check out PokemonProfessor.com for everywhere you can connect with Lured Up, all the shows on the network, leave reviews, get some merch, check out all the other shows. It's all good stuff. But Lane, where can we find Good Morning Johto? Everywhere.
Good Morning, Johto.
Goldenrod Radio Tower.
Goldenrod Radio Tower. We do Good Morning Johto, or I do Good Morning Johto, every single Monday through Friday. We're coming up on episode 500. I don't know what I'm going to do, but we're going to do something because episode 500, I can't wait. Monday through Friday, we do 10 to 15 minutes every single day. I cover the news for that day. Because if you need it, you want it that moment, boom, you have it. So let's say you've been missing the battle party whoop whoop. We got you covered for today, right? With PvP switch-ups, everything you got Good Morning Johto here on the Pokemon Professor Network.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Keep training, trainers.